RBL Weekly, back on the air. The second half of the season is in swing. Exciting things are happening. We made an announcement this week regarding the playoffs and what that looks like, when and where, roughly, those events will take place as we try to crown the first ever Roast Battle World Champion. For more information on that, follow me on Instagram at RBL Commish. All right, business out of the way. Sarah Keller's here.
Hi.
What's up, Sarah? How are you?
I'm great. I normally on my way here, I'd call somebody and talk to them on the phone so that I talk for the first time during the day because when Josh isn't home, there's nobody there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that today. So,
are you worried you're going to forget?
No, like how to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like that I'm a little rusty, you know? Because yesterday I didn't really talk to anybody either.
Yeah, I used to use the ride because I have a little bit of a drive to get here,
yeah,
and
same.
I used to use that time to call my mom.
Yeah,
but sometimes my mom just stresses me out more than,
100%.
and I come in like I don't want to watch any fucking battles. My mom just talk, She can talk.
Yeah.
She can talk for a long time and say a lot of words without saying anything or getting to any sort of actual point.
100%. No, I'm laughing because I was supposed to call my mom on the drive here.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I can't. I love my mom so much, but I was like, I don't want to.
For the sake of the viewers, the drive home is when I call my mom. You're welcome. Because I did it once and I was just so cranky. And I think, if I have to talk to my mom for like a half an hour and the conversation goes nowhere, and then we have like a New York 13 joke battle.
Oh yeah.
It's just PTSD for me. I can't handle it. Exciting stuff going on this week in the roast battle world. We named the first all-star teams, which, for the record, just a way of acknowledging some of the people who have been killing it, doing a great job. The rosters are available on my Instagram at RBL Commish. You could check those out. There is no official event. I had people named to the All-Star team messaging me like, do I have to go battle in London against some guy? No, you get a thing. You get a pat on the back and congratulations. We just want to recognize the people who have been killing it since March 1st, since the season started. So congratulations to all of the inaugural season All-Stars. You guys are all great. And of course the playoffs. Now I know every time we get to the end of these episodes, I'm like, who do you think is gonna make a move? And you're like, I don't know. But now that it's official, now that we know there will be 2 U.S. teams, 2 international teams competing for the playoffs, now that it's becoming real and we're heading towards the end of the season, how are you feeling about what you've seen so far? Who do you have faith in? Who do you have confidence in? If you were a betting woman, where's your money going?
Oh, man. Well, I don't even remember what the rankings are right now for all the places. But I feel like, Tokyo's had a really strong start. So, internationally, I think if they can maintain that stronghold, which will be difficult just based on the talent pool that they have, I think they have a really good shot. I think London is probably got a good chance because I feel like they just have the most videos that are being sent to us and featured. And this is not a thing on talent either. Obviously, the battles out of London are incredible. I know we get more. Some of the other cities don't have as many dates.
It's a fact. I mean, we tried our best to make this thing fair for everybody. That's why we changed our rules to say you can submit any battle from the last 30 days. So even if you're just running monthly, you can submit 3 to 4 battles from the event. But, when you are running weekly and you're getting 5-6 battles up there every week and getting more and more opportunities to, put on classic battles, it's going to be an advantage.
For sure.
Yeah,
you got a bigger pool to choose from.
I think that's smart. I think London and Tokyo are both really good choices for international. I'm really excited to see what Scotland does because Scotland has put out some absolute classics, and they're coming into this week, 6 points back, I believe, of Tokyo, and I want to see if they could chip away at that lead for the second playoff spot. And then over in America, I really like what we've been able to do here in LA. We got off to a really slow start. Battles have been picking up recently. I think it's our division to win. But I know everybody is super hungry for it, and the standings are really close, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I think LA has the advantage of we're the established team, obviously. We are a well-oiled machine that it's just putting out battles all the time. I don't know that the LA scene is as hungry as the other scenes as far as like battlers are concerned. So that's me calling out y'all. Like, if you want to take this for LA, we need you to be hungrier. And so I think the other cities have that against us.
Right.
I'm excited. I want LA to win, but I'm cautious. I don't know that I would put my money on us yet.
Interesting. Okay, for the record, I don't want anybody to win. She's allowed to have favorites. As the commissioner, I am being completely neutral on this thing. I am Switzerland. I am rooting for all 12 cities equally, and I really mean that. I am trying to maintain in the most ridiculous forum possible. I'm trying to maintain the most professionalism that I can.
I should say, I want LA to win because I feel like we should, because we have been here the longest. So it's like, not should in that like we deserve it, but like we should in that we should be the best.
Yeah.
Because we've been running this for 10 years and it is like, we just should. And so I feel like that's why I want us to win. I would be a little, not embarrassed, but like.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, I know how much you love all the sports metaphors, but it's like, the Yankees of the early 2000s when they went out and spent all that money, and they were spending way more money than anybody else to get the best players, and then they would still lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a Yankees fan, there's no excuse for that. If you're an LA Roast Battle fan, there's no excuse for us not to win this thing. We run the shows every week. There are no issues in terms of getting the videos because the guy who films them is right there. Whereas every other city, I have to send emails and everything like that. And, so there's no reason we shouldn't win. That being said, it is way closer than it has any right to be.
1,000,000%. Yep.
So
Thank you for succinctly putting into words my thoughts.
Yes. Let's widen that gap, LA. Let's go home and take this thing, become the first ever World Roasting Championship city. Let's jump into the battles this week. And we're going to start with a marathon. We're going to get this one out of the way right away. This comes to us from Scotland. Those are some...
It's a Scotland Yard. Stupid.
All right. Okay. Look at that. Hell yeah. Sarah from way downtown. This is 100 yards. This is a full football field. That's how long this fucking battle is going to take. We know the Scottish. That's their style. If you like jokes in bulk, get ready for this. You're going to love it. Number 5 battle this week comes to us from Scotland. Ryan Cullen, a 2023 RBL All-Star representing the Scottish side, going up against Neil Bratchpiece. Here it is.
I think this one was for you.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not the only short ass. Right. I don't know Ryan that well, thank fuck. I've only met him a couple of times, too many. So I'm going to have to go on your looks. Thankfully, that's your primary flaw. Don't know why you turned up in Tom Hanks in Philadelphia cosplay tonight. That's... Fuck, man, you look so ill. You look like patient zero for everything. You look like an anti-vaxxer, but against the tuberculosis vaccine. You fucking Victorian waif. You look like you campaign against abortion because you wear one. Ryan, you're the only guy in here more unwell looking than me. Do you want to take the hat off a second? Oh, Jesus. Went from a solid 2 to a solid minus infinity, didn't he? The two of you standing together must look like a glitch in the Gollum video game. Either that or the opening scene of Casualty where I die giving you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. No one wants to see that, man. Both of our faces and heads subconsciously remind people of death. Neither of us are Pierce Brosnan. That's all I've got for the first bit.
Neil looks like a garden gnome with mental health problems. Neil is the first name on YouTube if you search Scottish comedy, but accidentally have the relevancy filter set on low to high. You may recognize him as the wee man on YouTube or as Neil Bratchpiece on the sex offenders list. Neil, I don't know what fucking age. You look ridiculous. I don't know what age you're trying to be, but you look like you're 40 teen. Neil used to be a weak, shy kid, and despite spewing after any mild physical exertion, his father still managed to maintain an erection.
On the same theme, Ryan, it's kind of hard to place your age. You could be anywhere from 20 to long dead. And I don't mean 20 as a compliment. I mean it as a kind of make-a-wish kid situation where your dying request was to meet Lee Nelson. Sadly, only I was available, no luck. I'd say you look like a pedo, but you couldn't afford sweets. No horn, that's fine. I'd say you look like a rapist, but you wouldn't have the cardio. We don't have a rape horn, we'll move on. I feel like I'm being haunted by one of my Jewish ancestors who died in Auschwitz right now. It's like, why, boy chick, why? They all sounded like the Count for Sesame Street. Why? We used to have to hide in basements. Now you're stood in one getting slagged by a guy with a decent 15 minutes. Why? Despite how ill you look and are, Ryan, you will definitely die by suicide. And soon. It'll be soon. I currently have your death in my suicide accumulator just behind Philip Schofield. It's funny because there's definitely undercurrent homophobia to that whole thing.
Neil looks like he gets all his girlfriends from shipping containers. Neil's body type is midget taking a deep breath. Neil filled 4 driving tests. I filled 4. Man, what happened? Did the pile of books keep falling over? Neil plays a character, Wee Man, who's a small, loudmouth Ned from Glasgow. Whoa, the part you were born to fucking play. Nice one, method actor. You've been playing that one your whole fucking life. To me, that's like Cosby playing a rapist in his next movie. Or Schumacher getting the role as corpse number 2.
Ryan suspects that his dad and maybe more relatives might have been in the IRA, which is fitting because you're the physical embodiment of the potato famine. And also, it feels like balaclavas were designed specifically with your face in mind. Not a good looking man, Ryan. You are the chosen one of Sinn Féin. You should fulfil your destiny and bomb Parliament so that I've got an excuse to burn an effigy of you every November. Ryan also recently failed his driving test, which is a shame, because he only picked up a couple of minors. I'll just move on to the next one. You get the punchline to that. Ryan also went viral with Piers Morgan. He did a poll online asking people what was worse, Piers Morgan or the Holocaust. When asked how he felt about going viral with an attention-seeking racist, Morgan said, it's fine. Give the kids some publicity, you know. Ryan's also been hit by 6 separate cars.
It's actually 7 since yesterday.
Oh, really? Jesus. You need to stop going out in those Just Stop Oil protests, mate. Thing is, it's an accent problem. He thinks he's protesting Just Stop Owls. They keep mistaking him for roadkill and swooping down to eat him. Ryan used to get walked to school by a guy who later turned out to be a pedo, proving that even as a child, Ryan wasn't worth pumping. Even as a child. Ryan's first girlfriend said she was moving to Japan, but then just remained staying in the same street. And I've not got a joke for that, I just want to bring it up. It's just so sad. The fact that you shared that with me kind of fills me with an equal amount of respect and pity. Apart from the respect part, obviously. I feel like I should hug you, but it might kill you.
Neil is severely short-sighted. He signed up for this example. Neil, you look like your condoms smell of Monster Energy drink. Neil looks like a school shooter that's never went to school. Neil does pantomime, you know, like a cunt. Neil recently did panto in a venue so poor that the cast did not have toilets, and that must have been tough for you, you know, having nowhere to molest the kids. Neil is of Jewish descent, okay? He's got a Star of David tattoo on his chest. Yeah, that's, thank God you did, because someone told me that. He even hopes someday to do comedy in his motherland of Israel. Is that because they love bombing so much? There's a difference between bombing Gaza and bombing dressed like Gaza.
I wanted to applaud that Gaza line, fucking hell. Ryan? Ryan was once questioned for sex trafficking in Sydney Airport, and the answer to the question, I wonder if that guy's ever been questioned for sex trafficking. Ryan also lives in a basement, and the answer to the question, I wonder if that guy will be found dead in a basement. He actually lives in Daniel Sloss's basement. Yeah, of course, you might know Daniel Sloss from his classic viral bit, guys, you need to talk to your boys, guys. Talk to your boys, guys. Oh, classic. When I saw that, I thought to myself, yes, stand-up comedy can be used as a tool for good PR. Ryan's very different. He does dark comedy. Ooh. He's very edgy. Ooh, trigger warning, guys. He seems to think he's gigging back when I was popular. What are you hoping to get on series 1 of Mock the Week, you fanny? He does dark comedy, which means he is a bad person, definitely a bad person deep down, but he's simply too shy to follow through with his murderous thoughts, and physical weak as well. For instance, I heard Ryan do a joke about choking his ex-girlfriend to death, which tells you that he's definitely fantasised about this, 100% has, but doesn't even have the wrist strength to complete a wank about it. Daniel Sloss told me that. He needs his morning relief or you will be evicted.
Okay. Neil looks like he belongs in a Where Are They Now article about the Train Spotting cast. Neil was held at gunpoint under a bridge in Motherwell. Maybe they thought you were a troll. You know, not like a regular, one of those 90s troll dolls, you know, with the crazy hair, you know. One that briefly made a comeback from cancer. That's you, Neil. I don't know what you're laughing at. You went from Hasbro to Has-Been. Neil, you say you want to follow your paths of your favourite wrestlers. I hope you mean by that your favourite wrestler is Chris Benoit. In fairness, he doesn't have a family to kill, so it would just be a regular run-of-the-mill suicide. Where nobody would care. People would just think you got sick of working this circus. Fuck you, Neil.
Right? For some reason, that's the most hurtful bit. I don't know. Ryan's actually had 3 ex-girlfriends leave the country, which is shocking. You've had 3 girlfriends? That just tells me that Tinder needs higher resolution photos. Ryan used to use pictures of Daniel Sloss anyway. Kai Humphries gave him them. He got married, so he doesn't use them anymore. I've seen Ryan do stand-up. I don't know him that well, but I've seen him do stand-up. He's a great writer, but he has whatever the opposite of charisma is. Your delivery is a lot like Lost Voice guy's natural speaking voice. That kind of stuff. Yeah. You don't even have the
successful.
Yeah, fair play. I think the best hope for your career, Ryan, is that they make a live-action Ratatouille. And they need someone to do mocap for a mildly talented rodent. But keep going, man, keep going. I swear to God, keep going. I genuinely mean that. Comedy needs more people like you. Basement-dwelling losers who might be able to fetch cocaine for the blonde-haired housemaster.
Nice. I am not done. No. Fuck me, I nearly got Oscared right off there. You know how hard it is doing a roast battle against a guy where all your jokes go over his fucking head? Yeah, Neil is fucking tiny. It's devastating for Lil because no matter how much money he makes from comedy, acting, wrestling, he'll still never be able to put food on the kitchen table.
That deserves more.
Yeah.
That deserves more.
Well, it is impossible not to punch down. Neil's a wrestler. When Neil says he loves wrestling, he means he gets tag teamed every night. A highlight of Neil's wrestling career was he was fighting the Dudley Boys. Is that it? Dudley Boys in the Hydro? Yeah. When they used to say, oh, get the tables, it was just so they could see you face to face. Neil's wrestling is fake, so why not take on a real fight, Neil? Your suicidal thoughts? Now I'm done.
Well, goddamn.
That was so long.
Yeah, it was a lot. Scotland has, I mean, we've spoken about it. I've been blown away this season by Scotland. Everything they send me is so impressive because there's that many jokes and they connect at an unreal ratio. I would say like 80% of the jokes connect. And this was the first one where I felt like there were more swings and misses than solid contact on a lot of them.
I feel bad. I feel like I need to change my thought process around watching Scotland battles because my attention span is just so short because I'm used to the quick, and it's hard for me to pay attention for that long. But if I were to think about it as a 10-minute set that these two guys are doing together,
sure,
I might be able to pay attention a little longer.
Interesting. And if you evaluate it as a 10-minute set, it was very entertaining.
100%. And that's kind of how I'm trying to go now. Full disclosure, I did come and go with attention. I tried really hard.
But look, one advantage I have over you is I love the dynamic where you're watching them for the first time.
Yeah.
I've seen this battle several times because I had to go back and rewatch it a few times to even figure out where to rank it properly. It's so hard to evaluate that against a 3-joke battle from another city when they're doing 40 jokes a piece.
Yeah.
Something in that neighborhood. How do you even compare the apples and oranges like that? It's very, very difficult. So I had to watch it several times, try to pick up on everything I missed. I sent the battles to a couple other people to get their opinions. I always like to have a little bit of a community of people I trust. And I had seen this a few times before we rewatched it here. I do not fault you at all for missing bits and pieces on the first viewing because Lord knows I did.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to compare it because if you were to cut out the best, let's say the 5 best jokes from each of them, they'd probably be incredible and mark higher maybe but they're peppered in with other things that are maybe a little that bog it down.
For sure, if you were able to use the power of hindsight and just take the 5 best jokes from each of them and make a 5-joke battle, that's probably the number 1 battle this week.
For sure.
Right. But going into it, you don't know what the 5 best jokes are going to be. I mean, this is something that, you and I don't know, maybe you could tell me if you're the same way, but I've done it so long now, I've figured out what will work and what won't. So whereas I used to write 40 jokes for a 5-joke battle and send them to a bunch of people and, filter them through, now it's I write 7. And I know which 5 I want to use, and I've narrowed that process down. But, back in the day, you'd write 40 and you had no idea what the best 5 were.
100%.
So on the one hand, it's we're getting to hear jokes that maybe if it was 5, we wouldn't even hear. Maybe they would have been, cut. And we're hearing, some great ones. I mean, Ryan, he started off so strong with the relevancy filter set low to high. He said you look 40-teen.
Was such a great twist on a classic joke.
Right. And then, Neil came back in the next round with a similar setup of a joke. It's hard to place your age. And I don't remember the punchline, but when you have 2 guys who are doing that many jokes and kind of look alike, you're going to get a lot of the same ground shred
Yeah.
by both of them. But Ryan, when he said your body type was like a midget taking a deep breath.
Incredible.
And then the one joke that we did not get, because it was a local reference, I'm sure, but something like there's a difference between bombing Gaza and bombing while dressed like Gaza. And I don't get the second part of that. I don't know who is Gaza a person that dresses like that? I don't know. None of us knew. We paused the video and we kind of asked, what did that mean? And our producer, Cody, had a great line. He goes, I can tell it was a joke. So thank you, Cody, for that. Yeah, you really helped us narrow it down with that one. And then Neil had a great shit, too. The Piers Morgan thing was very, very funny to me.
Yeah.
But there were so many inside references. Like, I've never heard a name as much as I've heard Daniel Sloss in the last 10 minutes. I feel like I should know who that is. But obviously, it's very inside baseball, and they're writing 400 jokes, so I mean, I get it. But Neil was great. His closer was a lot of funny. I also like that Scotland has added a pedophile horn.
Yes.
The little clown horn for when you make
A pedophile joke?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Good touch.
It's like the ice cream song, but for pedophiles, which I guess also is for pedophiles.
Yeah.
Okay, so Neil started it out. I really enjoyed his delivery out the gate. I love the very nonchalant delivery. I really liked Neil's strategy of the self-deprecation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that's so hard to do in roast battle, but when done well is awesome. And addressing they do look like the same guy, especially we're watching this from kind of far away. So the only difference I could tell is that Ryan is wearing a hat and Neil is shorter.
Right.
So I liked that. I thought Ryan's jokes were so well written. I agree with Neil when he said the audience didn't give Ryan enough for the food on the kitchen table joke. That was, to me, like chef's kiss. I loved that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they both had awesome, well-written jokes. It was really fun. There was just a lot.
The only other thing that we have to talk about it, because we made a note during the battle. We both had kind of the same thought, and I'm like, all right, when we start recording again, we'll discuss it. How difficult is the Scottish driver's test?
Yeah, why are they both so bad at driving? Or is it that the Scottish driving test is so difficult?
I cannot imagine how difficult it must be for two random adults to get put on stage together and both have material about the other one failing the driving test.
Yeah.
Also, Neil had a joke, and I loved how Ryan kind of corrected it in the moment. Neil's like, Ryan's been hit by 6 cars. And he was like, it's actually 7 now since we last talked. Ryan needs to stay away from cars.
Yeah.
Behind the wheel, outside of the car. Just stay the fuck away from all cars. It is a bad mixture.
Yeah,
Ryan
apparently
Cullen
the
and cars.
driving test isn't that hard if he's able to get hit by 7 cars.
Maybe he's just maybe the driver's test needs to be harder. If there's 7 random people who have just hit
That's
a pedestrian.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Maybe-
Either that or Ryan doesn't understand street signs.
Maybe they need to ban cars. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe Scotland should just not have cars. They can't be trusted.
Cars don't kill people. People kill people.
That's a great call. Speaking of which, great suicide jokes, too. They both had so many suicide jokes.
Yeah.
It was a very, lot of fun. I love Scotland, and it's the number 5 battle this week. So good job, guys. Everything else after that will be shorter.
All right.
I make no promises on anything else, but it will for goddamn sure be shorter than that. Number 4 battle this week comes to us from Australia. We haven't seen Australia
I'm so excited.
in a while. And this is a fun one between 2 names that I hadn't seen until now. This is Dylan Coles versus Gavin Scott. It's number 4 this week. Here it is.
All right. Dylan's last name is Coles, but he shoplifts all his groceries from Woolies. The last time Dylan was in a Coles, it was his sister.
I actually did quite a bit of research before this roast. I dated Gavin's sister for a while. If you don't know, Gavin's sister looks a lot like Gavin, just with shorter hair and smaller tits.
All right. I knew Dylan was going to bring up my sister, so I got her to send me a response. All right. She says, tell that greasy motherfucker to stop calling me. And also, his dick's so small, even his hand asked if it was in yet. And also, the AVO still stands. Do I get another joke on top? Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Dylan learned how to groom children before himself.
Gavin is the only man I know to have given a woman an STD, sexually transmitted diabetes.
Oh my God!
Oh, man. I know what all of you guys are thinking. Dylan is inbred. But I can assure you, his mum was way too much of a slut for that. You know, Dylan's one of the loosest cunts I know, which is funny, because that's what he was born through.
Gavin is known as a overeater and an underachiever. A man with a low IQ but a high BMI. I do call him an underachiever, but any man can get that fat on Centrelink is an achievement in my eyes.
Me and Dylan used to play some music together, and man, he has some pipes on him. You name it. Tobacco, weed, crack, he has pipes on him. You know, Dylan does a lot of drugs. He does so much drugs, he's legally a pharmacy.
Gavin soaks so much weed that if weed had calories, he'd be twice the size. Don't tell him about edibles.
Last line? Okay. So Dylan's told me that he's part Aboriginal and part Jewish, but sure, he looks like a white supremacist. You know, because Dylan's part Aboriginal and part Jewish, so instead of sniffing petrol, he sniffs the gas in the back of an oven.
Thank you, my before photo. If you don't know, I used to be the same size as Gavin. He asked me, what have I been eating differently? But the only thing I've eaten more of his than he has is his sister's pussy.
Okay, do you want to start? You look like you're ready to go.
How the fuck does Gavin lose to Dylan saying Gavin be eaten?
Because it's the funniest joke I've ever heard in roast battle. I swear to God.
No!
It was so stupid. It was
was-
perfect. It was perfect. Absolutely no notes. Dylan, if you're watching this, you know he be eaten. He be eaten. It's great.
No.
It's great.
No,
Yes.
I'm mad about it.
Yes, no. We completely disagree on this one. It is the perfect roast battle joke. I will hear nothing to the contrary. You know he be eaten. So good. Did you have thoughts on the rest of the battle? Because I'm fine with leaving it there.
I can't get over that. Yeah, I mean, I have other things, but okay.
That broke your brain.
It did.
That's amazing.
Because I'm really mad about it, but also you find it so funny that I'm finding it funny now.
Yeah.
But I hated it.
It's great. You can hate it and acknowledge that it's great.
I think because it followed his first overtime joke that I wrote, like, he kept adding tags that made the joke progressively worse.
Yeah, that's why I loved
And
it.
so I just was like, no, stop while you're behind, bro. Like, every fucking tag just got worse and worse and worse. And then he just capped it with, Dylan be eaten. Oh, no. Like,
He said you can't, you can trust him around your kid, but not a lasagna.
which was fine. Leave, like, that's a
It
joke.
was great. And then he said, or a kid covered in lasagna, which made no sense. And then he was like, he will
'Cause
fuck
he
that
fuck-
kid.
I hated it so much. It was like, but the funny thing is like he got a reaction from the crowd where in the regulation he said that comeback, and I have never heard such a deafening silence
Oh, the before
on this
picture?
show in
Yeah.
my entire life.
Yeah.
It was the loudest silence. Like,
We all broke into like laughter just because of how dead quiet it got when he said that.
I can't even believe, like, no one fucking breathed after that. They were all like, fuck you, nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
pin drop. That was wild. But I mean, he was saving the heat for overtime, obviously.
clearly.
Fucking the lasagna kid.
Anyway, that being said, Gavin's joke about he learned to groom children before himself, one of the best jokes I've ever heard. I can't believe it's not been done before. Have you heard it? I can't think of a time I've heard it. Seems like it should have been done because it's so fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those, holy shit, I can't believe that hasn't been done jokes.
Right.
Unfortunately, it got buried in a lot of silliness, but that joke was so good.
I thought Dylan controlled the battle, to be honest. I don't think it necessarily needed an overtime. I think sometimes when you bomb your last joke, it gives the impression of it being closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
And Gavin finished kind of strong, and then Dylan ended strong. But I had Dylan ahead on points at that point. I loved Gavin's first joke about Coles. The only time Dylan's been in a Coles, it was his sister or whatever. I love like that kind of wordplay, and it was also, it's from a strategy perspective, it was a preemptive strike because it was about his sister, and then Dylan's literal next joke was, I dated his sister. So he knew, obviously, if I'm battling somebody who dated my sister, I know they're going to talk about that. Why not hit the sister, button first? So I thought that was really good from Gavin. But then I thought Dylan just was landing more consecutive punches. His sister, if you don't know, looks just like Gavin except with shorter hair and smaller tits. Sexually transmitted diabetes. I just thought he was kind of like he was punching more effectively and consistently. And I thought Gavin, boy, I feel like there was a real missed opportunity on the sister rebuttal when he said, I knew you were going to mention my sister, so I had her write a response. And he pulled out the paper and the crowd went crazy. And then the follow-up didn't really have the punch, the response from the sister. I think if he had tweaked that a little bit and really nailed that, it could have been a completely different battle. Because the crowd wanted that to be something like special and epic when he pulled out that like response, and it just didn't live up to the hype.
I think it's interesting you brought that up because I wanted to bring that up because last week we had the joke where the kids, the children of the wrote the joke, and I it's interesting because I like personally when it is someone else telling the joke, like the sister, the class, I give the joke a lot more leeway. Like it doesn't need to be as hard hitting because it's not coming from them technically.
But it is though.
But it is. But I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting strategy. To what you were saying, yeah, if it had hit harder, it would have been way fucking better.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't have to be as hard.
That's interesting.
I know you don't want me bringing this up because people like.
Why? What do you mean?
You don't want people to constantly use that strategy of like, oh, my brother said this about you.
Yeah,
but like,
definitely don't do that. Like I outsourced all 5 of my jokes. They were written by dogs.
No,
and people are like, those are pretty good jokes for a dog.
100%. But like in these 2 instances, they worked well.
Yeah.
And like I said, I definitely give them a little more weight.
I love the creativity behind it. I just wish he could have, he could have landed that punch. It's like I feel like it could have been harder.
Oh, it could have been.
And like I don't subtract points for it because I love the creativity, but I'm like I feel like if he knocked that one out of the park, then the whole tone and tenor of the battle changes.
Definitely.
As it was, I thought Dylan kind of controlled it. I love that he went silly in overtime. I know it wasn't for you. That's not to say Gavin was bad by any means. I thought Gavin was good. I think he hit a little rough patch kind of in the middle. He started strong, he ended strong, which forced the overtime. And then, the Australian crowd is like me. They love a good kid covered in lasagna joke.
See, I think if the joke, like for me, I thought Gavin was keeping up pretty well with Dylan throughout the battle. And so when Dylan had the silly joke at the end, I felt like he hadn't earned it yet. Like he didn't have jokes to me that were well written enough or hard hitting enough to then go silly. Like it's different when I watch a you or a Connor McSpadden or a Paige Wesley, like then suddenly do the silliest fucking joke you've ever heard. Because I'm like,
Sure.
you earned the right to do that.
Interesting.
And I think that's why I didn't enjoy it as much as you did.
I respect that opinion. It's good sometimes when we kind of disagree on a battle, because I think one of the things that can take a decent battle and bump it up to good, or a good battle and bump it up to great, is if it's competitive. If we can talk afterwards about who do you think won that. The one-sidedness of some of these battles, and we're going to see a little bit more of that later, spoiler alert, really kind of brings it down. So I love the good, close, competitive battle. Congratulations, guys. Nice job, Australia. Number 4 battle this week. Let's move to the States now for number 3, and this comes to us from Denver.
I knew it.
How did you know?
I don't know. I just had a feeling.
Just had a feeling. Denver, I feel like, is perennially right around that number 3 spot. And this is a battle from their recent tournament in which they crowned Evan Joe, who we watched last week, as the first ever Denver champion. This was the other semifinal to determine who would face Evan Joe for that title. This is Devesh Patel against Logan Burkholtz. Here it is.
Guys, Logan actually just got a new job selling an app for restaurant servers that was made by Indian software engineers. So I figured it was only fair to give him a lesson tonight on getting served by an Indian.
Thank you, Apu Pee Pants. That's right, Apu Pee Pants. Mark that one down for me, judges. Devesh is an alternative comedian, which just means when he masturbates in front of people, he calls it a one-man show. Devesh's comedy is so confusing, a lot of people refer to it as his sister's clitoris. Because all the male comedians try, but we just don't understand it, you know? Fuck, wow. That one was a creative risk.
It's like my comedy, huh? Guys, Logan actually went to Lacrosse University. Lacrosse University. I didn't make that up, folks. That is true. Before that, he actually went to Daddy Paid Off My Sexual Assault High School. and saying the N-word because I had one black friend elementary.
Well, again, his adopted parents said it was cool too, so... Now, Devesh's parents, as you can imagine, are actually very disappointed that he's moved so far from his Indian culture, which is why he always dresses like he's ready for a spelling bee. Yeah, the most Indian thing about Devesh is that if a woman were to touch him, I would consider them untouchable. Hey, remember Poopy Pants?
Logan looks like my high school bully and my high school trigonometry professor had sex. And he was in the back filming, so he could jack off to it later.
No, I did actually do a lot of research on Indian culture before this. I discovered that you should never try to take off the turban of an old Indian man, because underneath you'll find Devesh operating him by pulling on 2 tufts of hair. I know that sounds offensive, but that's just, it's actually an ancient Indian tradition called Ratakuri.
You guys, I was a little bit worried that I was writing too many jokes about Logan being racist, but I knew he was gonna do like 5 Indian jokes about me. You guys, Logan actually has that condition where he has bad circulation, so his fingers go numb. And that's God punishing him for all the times he did this to make fun of Indian people.
The only time you see a red dot on the time you see a red dot on Devesh's head if it was his parents trying to assassinate him. I know. Devesh's parents, it's funny that you call me racist. When Devesh's parents sent him to Catholic school, like they chose colonization. And they figured, well, if we can't arrange his marriage, we can at least arrange his molestations.
Guys, Logan looks like the Hogwarts professor that keeps trying to tell his students about the date rape potion.
I'm here to date a 6-year-old.
Severus rape. And if he couldn't teach defense against the dark arts because he thought it was for keeping the colored kids out of the school.
Hogwarts was fine just the way it was. You know, I heard the Cleveland baseball team has finally changed its name from representing Devesh's people, but I didn't know that there was ever a team called the Smelly Midgets.
Wide right, clap your fucking hands for these two! Holy shit, that was impressive. Impressive.
Don't you dare.
Do one more show. One more show. These were my least racist ones.
All right, we're going to fucking overtime. I've got Logan going first. It's a joke off. Wide right. Put some energy back in the room for these
You look like a legal analyst for the survivors of 9/11, but all your clients were in the cockpit.
He was more racist. Guys, Logan grew up in a small rural town in Wisconsin. And he actually looks like he has to stop his relatives from saying racial slurs. And because they're pronouncing them wrong.
Here's the number 3 battle this week. Devesh Patel versus Logan Burkholz. I have thoughts on this one. I want to hear what you have to say first, but I found this very interesting from a strategy perspective as much as any other angle.
Okay.
But what are your thoughts on the battle?
Well, I loved this battle. I thought, what a great battle to follow the last one, because Logan opens with poopy pants, which is so dumb. It's the dumbest joke ever. And then the opposite thing happened as the last battle, where I laughed very hard.
Yeah.
And Pat was like, ugh.
To be fair, I've seen this battle 3 or 4 times.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. He be eating hit me harder than poopy pants.
See, and I think so. I was like, well, you just got done saying that, in the last battle, he didn't earn the right to be silly. And obviously, this was the first thing that Logan said, so he hadn't earned the right either. However, because it was the first thing he had said, and he hadn't muddled it with
I feel like you're making up the rules as you go along. It's okay to laugh at a poopy pants. You don't have
100%
to.
100%
okay.
I am.
All right.
But I'm also thinking about it because he hadn't had any misses yet either. Right. So just coming out the gate, poopy pants is so dumb, and it tickled me.
Yeah.
That being said, Devesh, I thought, commanded this battle for the majority of it. He did falter a little bit in the middle, and Logan gained steam in the middle. But then at the end, even before overtime, I thought Devesh took it pretty decisively. Logan's last joke fell flat. So I was surprised they went into overtime. I'm assuming, well, actually, I know Devesh won because we watched it last week.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he had won in regulation and then destroyed him again in overtime. That being said, I thought they both had really great jokes. It was very fun. I mean, I could name each individual thing, but honestly, they both had really well-written jokes.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was an undeserved overtime.
Yeah.
It was Devesh controlled the battle. Logan, who I love, we saw him a few, maybe a couple months ago battle against Jake Two Pizza on here, and that was my first time seeing either of them. And I absolutely loved both of them. I still remember some of Logan's jokes from that battle, which is crazy because I watch dozens and dozens of battles every week. So for me to retain some of those means I'm a fan of your work. So the train derailment I remember from that one, but in this one, I felt like it was staggering how he opened with a poopy pants and earned all the goodwill of the crowd and then bombed 5 jokes in a row. 3 on that turn and 2 on the next one. And then he nailed the Ratatouille thing.
Yep.
Gave it an unnecessary tag, but he nailed the joke. And that was really the only one I felt like of his that connected solidly throughout the battle. It's amazing he was able to ride sort of the likability because he bombed well. When it wasn't going well, he, the callback to, hey guys, remember a poopy
yes.
he's delightful. A very likable guy, and he had a couple of big pops, and he managed to get an overtime out of that. But I thought Devesh was just hitting the entire way. The Lacrosse University joke was incredible. The thing about, and this is what I want to talk about strategically, the Hogwarts professor, dark arts, that whole run, the overtime joke about the relatives using racial slurs, all great. He had better jokes. He deserved to win. But what impressed me the most was the strategy. And anytime you see a white guy go against a person of color, this comes into play because in theory, that should be a pretty easy win for the white guy because racial jokes work so well typically at roast battle. You get to pick low-hanging fruit, which your opponent doesn't. Your opponent is at a huge disadvantage, I think, unless they can make it work to their advantage.
Yep.
And I feel like we've seen Omid do that over the years in LA.
Yeah.
A tremendous win-loss record, and he's able to use that and sort of flip it on the person. And that's what Devesh did here. For Devesh to wait until his 4th joke before opening with, I was worried I was writing too many jokes about Logan being a racist. But I knew he was just going to come out and make 5 Indian jokes. And at that point, Logan had made almost entirely Indian jokes.
Yep.
And it really, I thought that was such a brilliant piece of strategy to kind of get ahead of that angle and be like, okay, you can make all Indian jokes, but then I'm going to turn it against you by calling out the fact that you're like racist and uncreative or whatever. I thought was really, really well done by Devesh.
Definitely. I think because then I would put the audience at that point in 2 camps. Either they are aware that all of the jokes have been racial or they're not aware consciously.
Yep.
And then Devesh saying it, everyone in that audience went, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you immediately take away his power.
Mm-hmm.
And
and he did it in the 4 spot, and then he closed with a regulation joke and an overtime joke that both called Logan racist.
Yep. And
so masterfully constructed.
So good. And I loved the high school, the Lacrosse University joke. That joke and the Hogwarts joke, to me, I loved so much because each part of it was a banger on its own.
Yes.
And then he added tags that were so fucking good, but you didn't need them because it was so good anyway, but I was so glad he had them.
Yeah, I mean, tags and, double and triple tagging like one of your jokes is risky. They have to get, at the very least, they all have to be on the same level as the first one. Ideally, you'd like to see them get even better, and that's what happened here. But we saw, we've seen a ton of battles where it goes the exact opposite way. So it's a risky strategy. I thought Devesh nailed everything to perfection in this battle. Just really, really well done. Love what they're doing in Denver and excited to see more of it. Let's keep it moving right now. We're going to go to the number 2 battle this week, and this comes to us from London with one familiar face going against someone who has never done a roast battle before.
What? And made it to number 2?
Made it to number 2 in his debut battle. This is the debuting Sergi Polo going up against 2023 RBL International All-Star Shalaka Kurup. Here it is.
This is Sergi. Sergi is a trained magician. The only thing more tragic than that fact is his hairline. The best magic trick that Sergey's done is being able to simultaneously look both 14 and 45.
This is Shalaka. Tonight is my first roast battle, and I'm very happy to roast Shalaka because she's a very good friend of mine. And the only thing is that Shalaka is so Indian. The first time I gave her a hug, I got diarrhea for a week. Shalaka is so Indian. Her pubic hair is so thick. If you go down on her while you eat pussy, you would also be flossing your teeth.
Dental hygiene is important, kids. Anyway, this homeless chorizo is Sergi Polo. Sergi's family thinks he's gay, probably because of the drama degree or the voice or the fact that his breath smells like stale cock.
Dodgy Karen? That's what Shalaka's boyfriend asks when she's on her period. Shalaka's boyfriend is white. You might think she's not into Indian guys, but she is. You should see her boyfriend's massive unibrow.
This meth-addled meerkat is Sergi Polo. Sergi is short for Sergio, and Sergi Polo is short for a man.
Shalaka is very short. She actually sucks dick in the same way she does comedy. She does it standing up, and she's really bad at it. You can ask all the open micers in the London scene.
And I fucked all of them.
Yeah!
I thought Spanish men were meant to be sexy. No one heard that. I said I thought Spanish men were meant to be sexy. Sergi, you look like the tapeworm I got after eating your mom's paella.
Shalaka made me realize that white privilege is like boobs. As in, they're both great, but she doesn't have either of them.
This Mediterranean orphan is Sergi Polo. Sergi looks like an anemic child because, as they say, you are what you fuck.
Shalaka studied trains, and it's interesting because she is like a train. They're both very popular in India, and in the UK, white people think they smell.
Okay, so number 2 this week, Shalaka versus Sergi from London. Was it last week we talked about how London feels like there's never any kind of like momentum? It's like every joke is its own battle.
Yeah.
This was one of the better ones from there that I've seen in terms of, I felt like chemistry. I felt like they were doing this thing together. It didn't feel like a bunch of pieces to the puzzle loosely. They were kind of connecting. It seems like they were friends. For someone who won the knockout tournament and is an all-star and in the running for MVP, and we've seen so much of Shalaka, and she kills it every time. For Sergi to kind of get in there and hold his ground, and he had a couple of absolute bangers, I thought. I was really impressed. What did you think?
Yeah, I can't believe that was his first battle, and to take on Shalaka, I mean, you got balls, man. I think what made this battle maybe seem more like a unit as opposed to like in the past, I really love Shalaka's strategy of this blank blank Sergi. That tied the whole battle together. It made it feel like a cohesive unit. Also was just fucking delightful. She didn't do it for the fourth joke, and I genuinely missed it.
Yeah.
I was upset that she didn't do it on the fourth joke, which means it was a fucking incredible strategy.
She's been incorporating that into more and more battles. She kind of like, it's very rare that you see something in roast battle that you could trace back the origins and be like, this is the inventor of that.
Yeah.
Like when I
There's
showed
a lot
up,
of people that'll call
Right,
Say
of
it.
course. When I showed up, everybody was doing the thank you so-and-so.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know who created that. It was just there. It was just, I don't know who did it for the first time. And then I've heard the one where it's like, if you're here, who's doing blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Shalaka invented this new thing where she does it a couple times a battle, this such and such. And it's always like a very visual kind of thing, like homeless chorizo.
Yeah.
And meth-addled meerkat. Like, it's just very... she follows kind of like a formula where it's like adjective, noun, silly situation, and it works every time. She's so good at it.
Yeah, it's a great way to get off those half-written jokes, you know, or like the ones that are so silly you're like, this doesn't even make any sense, where we kind of saw those like thank yous. And yeah, I'm upset that she came up with it because
Oh, it will be stolen. Roast battle,
for sure.
like every other sport, is it's going to be a copycat league. Within a year, everybody is going to be doing that shit, and it's up to us to remind them that Shalaka Kurup was the one who created it. Yeah, she deserves that credit because she utilizes it to her advantage. Every time I see it, it's really funny. That being said, let me shout out Sergi for a little bit. His opener about, first time I hugged her, I got diarrhea for a week. I thought was very, very funny. The idea that you could sort of transmit diarrhea through a hug is, or not even transmit, but you can, contract it from somebody based on their nationality. Very silly, very funny to me. I also loved his closer about the train. And the reason I loved it is because you hear these keywords in roast battle. And when you hear the word train, you're like, one of two things is coming: an autistic joke or someone running a train.
Yeah.
And Shalaka, I believe we've heard in a couple battles, is like, I don't know to what degree she works on trains or that's what her college degree was in. And I've heard a couple of references to it now. So to hear somebody, especially in their first battle, and hear the word train, and you're like, is it going to be autism or is it going to be running a train? And then it was neither. Very pleasant surprise, very well-written joke. I thought Sergi had a great poise up there. He looked super comfortable. I do think that Shalaka just has a charisma on stage, an understated deadpan kind of thing, but also the way she, like, takes the jokes. Like, when he said something about, like, her, like, sucking like open mic dicks or whatever, and she was just like, I fucked all of them.
Yeah.
Like, just proudly own it, embrace it, get the laugh, and then just go right back to kicking ass. It's just very impressive.
Yeah. She did that with the dental hygiene. Like, it's when your opponent can take your joke and and it.
Yeah.
It's almost like the laughter you got from the joke, the credit goes to them then.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do, and it's very impressive when it's done.
For sure. One other thing, I wanted to send a shout out to Jay Yamaki of Tokyo, because he listened to the episode last week, and he hit me up with an interesting theory, which is that a lot of London's, and I don't know if I totally agree with this, but I think he's onto something. A lot of the momentum, it feels like, in London maybe doesn't hit because they're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
They're all addressing outward to the crowd. And I know you love observations like that.
Did I not say that last week?
Oh, maybe you did. Maybe I just stole it from you.
But I was just...
Fuck you, Jay.
I was just thinking about it, right?
You literally stole Sarah's idea and sent it to me as if it was your own?
Wow. May not have. I just earlier when we were talking about this battle, I was in my head thinking like they're not making eye contact.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the reason it's not connecting for me.
It's interesting because Scotland does the same thing.
100%.
But Scotland almost phrases it more like a traditional like dais roast because they're doing so many, where you would normally see the person getting roasted sitting in the background. So maybe it's not as, I don't know. I have a hard time quantifying things like that, but whoever originally had that thought, probably you, probably Sarah, but whoever did, it's a great observation, and I think there might be something to that. Let's go to the number one battle this week, and this is an interesting one to me because we just named the All-Star team. I had not seen this battle before I named the All-Star team, and one of the spots, I had a bunch of Chicago people in mind. we had 3 All-Stars from Chicago. Tito and Brandon Kiefer made the finals of their tournament. They both did the mothership and did very well. They seemed like no-brainers. But then for the third one, I had a few people I was considering. Leah Kayajanian, who we know and love, has had a great season. And then Eric Emerson is another guy, 4-1. He's had a great season. And then I had these other 2 names, Matthew Mitchell and Katie Kincaid. And Katie got, and I think deservingly so, she's 5-2 this season, which is a heavy workload, and she's very entertaining. And she got that third and final All-Star spot. And then they sent me this video of 2 of those bubble sort of candidates going at it. This is Matthew Mitchell versus Katie Kincaid. And I know that this battle happened before I named the All-Star team, but in my world, my version of history is Matthew Mitchell did the Michael Jordan documentary thing where he's like, I didn't make the All-Star team, and I took that personally. Because this is, in my opinion, a breakout performance from him. Not to say Katie doesn't do well, and I'm sorry for the spoilers, but man, this was the first time I saw Matthew kind of hitting on all cylinders like that. It's the number 1 battle this week. Matthew Mitchell versus Katie Kincaid from Chicago. Here it is.
2, 3, battle! Hey, this is going to be good. Katie was in the Final 4 when they did the tournament. That's pretty cool. Yeah, which is crazy because she's normally the Final 4 that guys fuck before they get sober. So.
Guys, give it up for Fat Ass Pro Shop, okay? Matt looks like if he breathes too heavily, he'll sell you an insurance policy. Yeah, you're such a sad-looking man. You're just a real Jake from Self-Harm.
Oh, good one, Bronny McFarlane. That was Katie does improv, sketch, and stand-up, which is proof that in this business, you have to work 3 times as hard just to be half as funny if you're a woman. So that's something to... Yeah.
It's funny. I do improv, which is there's a lot of yes and in that. Matt's just put off because no woman ever says yes to him. So Matt, a sick burn already, baby. All right, well, Matt, actually, a lot of people say that Matt looks like Hank Hill, right? Which makes sense because he gets hard at the mere mention of her propane tank. Yeah, if Matt was a band, he'd be Panic at the Home Depot.
Shut up, Meg. I don't know what to tell you there. I will say this about Katie. I'll say this about Katie. Black dudes love Katie's body. Yeah. I think it's because her torso is shaped like a pack of Newports. If I had
Dude, you look like even your own clothes don't want to be on your body.
Yeah.
Okay, so this may be hard to believe, but Matt is 23. Yikes. Yeah, this is what happens when you widow peaked in high school. Yeah, God just really turned on the opacity on that hairline.
That's crazy. I'm going bald. Your forehead is still bigger than mine. I don't know how that's even a possibility.
Well, it's kind of crazy that Matt thinks that 4 inches is big.
Holy Toledo.
Kind of crazy.
Good gracious. Whose turn is it now? Is it me?
I think so.
Katie's a 30-year-old bisexual. Don't you think it's time she grows up? You go ahead.
Coming from a guy who looks like he likes them young, okay? Matt looks like he's fucked more holes in a bowling ball than a woman.
Katie's got a face that says controversial new Victoria's Secret model.
It's no secret that I would never fuck you. Oh man. Matt is single. He is single. And all his exes have always said that he never went the extra mile in the relationship, which I think is not fair, considering he doesn't even have an extra inch. Yeah, man. I mean, fingering for Matt is just him doing his best, okay?
Thank you, Katie. It's nice to acknowledge I'm doing my best. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the last one. This is true. Katie's dad. Last one?
I don't know. You guys are doing too many.
All right. I'm doing one more, and then I'm out of here. Anyway, Katie's dad owns a karate dojo, which is pretty cool. Like, it would be nice to have your own place where you can just go get the wind knocked out of you. Katie's mom had a place like that, too. It was called The Kitchen.
Oh, man.
All right, I'm all done. I'm tapping out.
Matt's actually been in a lot of martial arts movies. He plays the sumo guarding the palace. Matt likes to brag about how many threesomes he's had, which, Matt, I'm sorry, but Olive Garden soup salad and breadsticks does not count.
So that was the number one battle this week. Wasn't particularly close. I felt like Katie had, I mean, maybe the biggest pop of the battle with the 4 inches rebuttal. And then I liked the soup salad and breadsticks closer, but it felt like a lot of the times she was fighting for air up there, you know?
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of her jokes and felt like the audience wasn't giving her a lot.
Okay.
That being said, so while we were watching this in the room, it was pointed out that Katie laughs at her own jokes. And I don't know if I would have noticed that. I think I would have.
I didn't. That was an observation because I told you I send these battles to a few people, and someone commented like Katie laughs a lot at her own jokes, and then I watched it again and I could not unsee it.
Yes.
It's one of those things.
So
yeah.
that now, like having that be in my consciousness, it was getting annoying. Especially when there was like 1 or 2 times where no one in the audience laughed, but she did.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but if no one else is laughing, you don't get to laugh at your own joke.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I think it's a nervous tick. I think for most people that laugh like that in a roast battle, it is a nervous thing. That being said, like, I really liked the bowling ball. It looks like he's fucked more holes, whatever.
In a bowling ball than a woman.
Yeah. That got nothing, but she followed it immediately with her little weasel laugh. And
little weasel laugh. Jesus Christ, that's so mean.
It sounded like, do you guys remember, in Billy Madison when they do Eric's laugh and Billy Madison? That's what it sounded like to me.
Oh, that's great.
I think
that's
if
so
she
fucked up.
I know, I'm sorry. Katie, I'm literally defending you here and saying I love your jokes. You just ruined them with your laugh. We couldn't enjoy them. I like being the bad guy in this.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm just like, I think those jokes were great, and I want to understand why the audience didn't laugh at them, and I would pose the question that it could possibly be from her laughing at her own jokes.
Maybe. I don't know about that. I just think it's a momentum thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you go up against like just a fucking runaway freight train, and everything they say is hitting, and everything Matthew was saying was hitting. I mean, I thought the Final Four opener was funny, and then it just got progressively better with she has to work 3 times as hard to be half as funny. And then the way he was able to, and I'm sure he wrote this as a Peter Griffin rebuttal, but he used it for Hank Hill when he just said, "Shut up, Meg."
Yep.
That won the whole crowd over, and then he immediately followed it up with the torso that looks like a pack of Newports. And it's like, at that point, he had just kind of taken control. And it's one of those things where if you have a couple in a row, especially when it's like rapid fire back and forth like that, and you have a couple in a row that don't totally connect, it's really hard to kind of get the crowd back. I want to be really clear. When I say he controlled the battle, I don't mean that his jokes were significantly better. I think they're both very, very talented joke writers, and Katie is one of the best roasters that we have. I just feel like in this particular scenario, it's that snowball rolling down the hill where Matthew is just picking up so much steam, and it's really hard to kind of put a halt to that. And the only time she really got close was the 4 inches thing, but he was just landing sort of punches left and right. I've seen Matthew before. Here's my thing. I've seen both of these guys. I've seen everybody in Chicago a bunch because they are very good at putting all their videos out and everything like that. Their YouTube channel is amazing. If you haven't checked out Roast Battle Chicago's YouTube channel, check it out. They have a bunch of great battles. And I've seen Katie and always been like a fan of hers. And Matthew, I was always kind of like, okay, he's good, but I was never really blown away. And this was the performance where I just saw it and I was like, holy shit. Because I've heard a lot about Matthew, but the hype never kind of like matched what I had seen in the previous couple battles that I had seen. He was good, but he wasn't like, he didn't blow me away. And this one I was like, I get it now. You know what I mean? And I hate to even say things like that because it sounds shitty to be like, I thought you sucked. That's not what I'm saying. I thought you were fine. Now I know. I was wrong. You're better. You're better than I gave you credit for. You kicked ass. It was an incredible battle. I look forward to seeing both of these guys down at the mothership, for one of our league events sooner rather than later. Full disclosure, I had already reached out to Katie. She was busy traveling through Europe. She couldn't do it. So she also has a much cooler life than any of us, which is congrats. And then, I'm sure we'll be seeing both of them absolutely sooner rather than later. I thought it was a great battle, but just a breakout performance from Matthew.
See, I don't know. I don't know if maybe it was like the setup, because like I don't normally get any insight into the battle, and this one was like, oh, Matthew was so good, so maybe I was expecting more.
Yeah, I usually say that stuff after. I poison the well.
For me, watching it back, and again, like I'm not in the room, so I have a very unique perspective in that I have no context outside of what this is, and the whole time kept feeling like, why is the audience giving him so much? Not that it wasn't great. Yeah. I just felt like Katie was really keeping pace with him, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't more fair. But I do agree with your analysis of he was a runaway train to that audience, and she couldn't keep up. And
that's also kind of the thing. This is, and we can wrap the show up here, but we judge a lot, right? Not just on this show, but we actually judge the battles in the belly room. And it can be really, really, really difficult to judge a battle on anything other than audience reaction. Because at the end of the day, you're a comedian, you're on stage, your job is to elicit a reaction out of the audience. So if you're sitting there, it could be really hard to detach yourself like you're doing now from the audience reaction and be like, well, I thought this joke was better than that joke, even though they went nuts for that joke and gave nothing to this joke. You know, at some point, you just kind of see what the audience is reacting to, and it's really hard to kind of go against that. So I respect the opinion, and I would probably have to watch it back again because I think I was just bowled over by how hard he was hitting in the room, as opposed to actually, breaking the jokes down. So it's an interesting perspective for sure. I'm going to go back and rewatch it, and maybe I'll have a difference of opinion. And maybe I'll realize that Matthew stinks. I was right all along, dude. I said you stunk, and I was right. You're never going to the mothership. You're never going to Austin. You're fucking trash, dude. Maybe that's what'll happen.
No.
Maybe. No, I'm saying this hypothetically could. We don't know. But no, that's it. Great job, Chicago. Congratulations on number one. And with that being said, let's take a quick look at the standings before we get out of here. As we alluded to, November 1st, we'll wrap up the regular season. The top two teams in each division will make the playoffs. They will travel. They will battle each other. We will crown a world champion. And right now, we have some movement in the United States division. I said everything was close. I did not lie. Chicago, who came in tied for fourth, jumps all the way up to number 2. So they have put themselves in that second playoff spot, knocking off Austin. Everybody else is fighting to try to get there. If the season ended today, it would be LA versus Chicago. Also, Denver climbs out of the cellar for the first time in a while. They had been in 6th place for a minute now. They jump a half point ahead of the Bay Area, who now falls into 6th place. We'll have to see, because that's the thing. Denver went from being in last place last week to now they are one number one battle out of a playoff spot. So anything can change. And then we didn't see a ton of movement in the international rankings. London padding their lead, Scotland moving up incrementally, and then Australia flip-flopping with Barcelona 4 and 5. Exciting stuff.
Very.
Nice. All right, that's it. RBL Weekly. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more incredible battles. Until then, I'm Pat Barker.
I'm Sarah Keller.
And follow us both on Instagram. What's your handle?
Sarah Keller 07.
And I'm at RBL Commish. We'll see you guys next week.